Welcome to the second video of the introduction in R. In this video we talk about using the first functions and generating objects. Like and subscribe, and I hope you learn something for your statistical journey. In this video we will go on with the script we already started. And first of all I will introduce what we will do today. So first we will show how to use RStudio as a calculator. Then we go deeper into how to generate objects. Then we use some commands on these objects. Then we go into what are vectors and how to build vectors. And then we use the repeat command and we use the sequence command and show what is the type of a vector or the vectors we generated. And then we look at data frames. So far so good. So we can start with making some calculations. As we already figured out, we use the shortcut Control and Enter, and we see all the results in the console on the right side. These are some common commands, and here's squared, which means like the square root of 44. So just to try it out, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with those terms. So like this means like 4 to the power of 2. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So let's go to the next part where we generate some objects, and we're generating objects with those arrows. These arrows are generated with the combination Alt and minus, and then you can generate an arrow. So if you want to input something into an object, so we generate object ABC, and then we can use those objects to calculate and compute stuff and generate based on those calculations new objects. So we generate R1, R2, R3 and R4. We also can generate objects which are strings, so they contain a string, or they can even contain more strings, but in this case it's only one string. So we generate the object world, and if we want to see what's inside world, then we run world, and we see inside world there is one place, and on this place there's written hello world. And if we want to see what's inside world, we can also use the print command. If we want to see what we generated so far, we can use the ls command or the objects command. If we want to remove something in our global environment, then we can also use remove, which is rm, and it will remove a. And we see down in your global environment there's no a. So if we want to remove something, we have to keep in mind that R is case sensitive. So if we want to remove B and write it in capital letters, we cannot remove it. So this is a warning message. So R is not finding B in capital letters. So if we want to remove the object B, we have to use this B instead, and then we can remove it. And if we want to remove everything, we can write down remove list is equal to ls, and then it will remove everything. So then we go to vectors. Vectors are one-dimensional, and we can figure out the length of our vector, which is like n, and then we can say the length of our vector is n, and we generate v1 to v6, and we generate them with the command vector. First we have to give the command what is the type of data we want to put in. So for example, we want to put in like numeric data like 1.3, 1.6 or something. Or we want to put in integers like 1, 2, 3, 5 and so on. Or logical like false or true, or characters like hello or names or something, and complex numbers are written like complex. And the next parameter is n, which is the length of our vector. So every vector which is generated with vector has the length n, so every vector has the length 100. You also can generate vectors with the C command, which combines all these numbers into one object, and then we have a vector generated only with a C command. Then we go on and go to indicate vectors, but first we start with the repeat command. And what the repeat command does is it repeats a certain value. So there we override n. So, and we see n changed in our environment because before it was like 100. And we also have to take care of this stuff. So my tip is to not override objects, because in some cases you perhaps need it in the future or in some parts of your scripts, and when it's overwritten it maybe would not work. So keep sure that your objects are unique. So don't do it like me. So, and then we start the repeat command, and we see that the number 11 is repeated n times, which is like 24. We can also make sure that we use the repeat command right, and for that we use the help command. And then we can see here on the right side below the console, there is here is written what the repeat command does and what you can do with it. And also there are some hints what you can also use, like repeat point int or repeat underscore len. So, and we also can use the apropos command, which is showing us all the commands which have re in it, which is also pretty nice. So, and we can use the sequence command. The sequence command starts with the starting value, which is 1, and goes to 5 with a step size of 1. So we can see it on the console with what the sequence command does. If we want to go backwards, we cannot use the step size of 1. We have to make the step size -1. Then it will work. So we can go back from 5 to 1. We can also use the parameter length out. So we say to our program, which is R, make the steps that broad, that we have 100 outputs. And you see it will work out. And it also works out if we go backwards. So, and if we want to have some help with the sequence command, we can also use this question mark before some command, and then we can also look into this help section. So if we want to indicate a vector, we have to use this parentheses, and then we can look at the certain place 2 inside our vector. And if we want to override a certain place in our vector, we can use this arrow again, and then we say like we want to override this space in our vector, which is all 0, and then we say we want to that it repeats 1 10 times. and we see that now it's overwritten, so we have in those spaces we have 10 ones. And if you make a command and put parentheses around some commands, you can see the output when you put some input in a new object, which isn't the case if you don't put the parentheses around. So, and then you can see what you have done and don't have to again write your object down and run it. But normally you wouldn't do it like that. So this is not common sense, but you can do it. So, and then we want to figure out what type is our vector1, and we see it's double. Okay, this is quite true because it's numeric. So then we want to input a new value inside our vector, and we put it in the place 102, and then again we want to look, and we see the type of our vector has changed. So our vector can only contain one type. So if we put another value in it, which is like string, then the type of our vector will change. And because you can't change a string into a number, the numbers will change to strings. So because that's a less informative data type, I put it in like because it's a less informative data type, so you can't make like calculations with it, like mean or variance. Yeah. So, and then we put in a new value in this space, and we see the type of our vector hasn't changed yet, but we can change it with the command as numeric, and we put in the vector1, and so our vector will change, hopefully. Then we will look at the first to the 5th place, and then we see the zeros don't have those quotes anymore. And we can ask if it's numeric with the following command, and we see it's true, so our vector is now numeric again. But if we look at our vector, we can see that the strings have changed to NA. NA means not available. And we can also show like the head of our vector, which is the first 6 places, and we also can use the tail command, so we see the last 6 places of our vector. So then we go on with data frames. Data frames are pretty nice because you can put some data in a column and it don't change the value or the data types of the other columns. So one column can be like numeric, the other column can be like string, the other column can be... This is pretty nice. So then we want to generate data frames. First we have to generate those vectors. So here we generate the vector S1, and S1 is a sample of the sequence from -10 to 20 with the step size 0.25 and with the length n. So we draw n times, 100 times out of this sequence and replace equals false. So, and then we can go on and we draw from a normal distribution. So we draw n times with a mean of 1.5 and a standard deviation of 1. So this is also pretty nice command when you want to simulate a normal distribution. And then we can bind it to a data frame. So we can rbind it or cbind it. So rbind means like we bind it in rows, which looks like that, which is pretty messy. We don't want it. So we use cbind data frame and bind it via columns. And then it will look like that, which is pretty nice. So perfect. So down here you have all the functions we used so far. And so if you want to get to know R and RStudio a little bit deeper, so keep following this channel and subscribe and like the video. And if you have some questions, put it in the comments. Thank you a lot, and we'll see you soon.